There's a champion within you. You might not see it yet, but it's there, waiting, growing, ready to break free. You might feel unsure, like you're not quite there. But every champion starts with one simple truth. They believe in themselves enough to take the first step. Success doesn't come by accident. It's built. Every small action, every decision, every setback, and every triumph adds up. The key to unlocking your inner champion isn't just about raw talent or luck. It's about mindset, perseverance, and the strategies you use to push forward when the road gets tough. So, let's talk about how you can start unlocking that champion within you. It all begins with clarity. Champions know where they're going, even if they don't know every single detail. They have a vision, a purpose that drives them forward. Without a clear vision, it's easy to get lost or distracted by the noise around you. Take a moment to reflect on what success looks like for you. What are you working towards? And to see what they are working for as well. What are you working towards? What is the impact you want to have? The clearer your vision, the more you'll be able to stay focused and on track, especially when things get challenging. When you know where you're headed, every step feels intentional. Next, let's talk about the power of discipline. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes, sometimes like a wave, sometimes like a whisper in the back of your mind. But champions rely on discipline. They know that success doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment or feeling inspired all the time. It comes from showing up, doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. The insecurity. Discipline is the habit of doing what needs to be done day in and day out, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. That's where progress is made, not in the grand gestures, but in the small, consistent actions you take. When you commit to discipline, you're committing to your future success, and you're saying, I will show up for myself. Our meaning sets for our discipline are formed in the fire, but champions also know that success is not a straight line. There are going to be obstacles, there are going to be setbacks, and guess what? That's okay. In fact, it's necessary. Failure isn't the end, it's a part of the process. Every champion has faced defeat, rejection, or a moment where they felt like giving up. What separates them from the rest is how they respond. Champions don't quit when they face adversity. They learn, they adapt, and they come back stronger. When you hit a wall, you don't have to stay there. You can find a way around it, over it, or through it. The key is resilience. Keep moving forward, even when it feels like the world is pushing you back. The strength of a champion isn't measured by how many times they fall, it's measured by how many times they rise. Another powerful strategy that champions use is surrounding themselves with the right people. It's true that success can be a lonely road, but you don't have to walk it alone. The people you spend time with shape your mindset, your energy, and your potential. Champions surround themselves with those who uplift them, challenge them, and push them to be better. They seek out mentors who've walked the path before them, and they learn from their experiences. They align themselves with individuals who share similar values and goals. If you want to elevate your success, elevate your circle. Choose people who inspire you, people who will hold you accountable, and people who will believe in your dreams when you can't see them clearly. One of the most powerful strategies to unlock your inner champion is self-belief. It might sound simple, but it's often the hardest thing to embrace. Deep down, you must believe that you are capable of success. Doubt will creep in, it always does. But you have to challenge those negative thoughts. When you feel unworthy, remind yourself that you are enough. When you feel like you're not good enough, remind yourself of your past achievements, however big or small. Every success you've had is proof that you have what it takes. Confidence doesn't come from always being perfect. It comes from knowing that you are capable of learning, growing, and improving every single day. Trust yourself and trust the process. Even when things are hard, remember that you have the strength to make it through. In addition to belief, champions also know the importance of taking risks. Playing it safe might feel comfortable, but growth happens outside of your comfort zone. The magic happens when you step into the unknown, when you take that leap of faith, even if it scares you. Risk doesn't mean being reckless. It means being willing to try, even when you don't have all the answers. Every successful person has taken a chance at some point, whether it was starting something new, taking on a challenge, or stepping into a role they weren't sure they were ready for. Taking risks is about trusting that you'll learn along the way and that you'll grow stronger through every experience. Taking risk is responsible for success as well as failure. You need to risk failure to learn. Now let's talk about persistence. This one is key. You could have talent, clarity, and a great team, but if you don't keep going, none of it matters. Persistence is what gets you through the tough days, the failures, the doubts, and the challenges. Persistence says, I will keep going no matter how long it takes. Champions don't stop just because things get difficult. They push through because they understand that success isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You're building something that will last, and that requires consistent effort over time. The days when you feel like quitting are often the days that are the most crucial for your growth. When you keep going, even when it's tough, you unlock your inner champion. Finally, remember that success is not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. Every challenge, every win, every setback shapes you into a stronger version of yourself. The journey itself is where the real transformation happens. So, enjoy the process, celebrate the small wins, learn from the failures, embrace the discomfort, because that's where growth happens. You're not just chasing success, you're becoming the person who is worthy of it. So, unlock your inner champion. Start today. Believe in your vision. Show up, even when it's hard. Surround yourself with the right people. Take risks. Keep pushing. And never, ever stop. Because within you is a champion waiting to emerge. Waiting doesn't lead anywhere. We sit, we plan, we dream, but we forget the most important piece of the puzzle, action. We wait for the perfect moment, the right amount of energy, or for things to line up just perfectly. But that's the trap, isn't it? Waiting for motivation to find us is a sure way to stay stuck. It's time to stop waiting, stop planning endlessly, and start doing. Execution is the holy grail of performance. Without it, nothing happens. Get started. You see, motivation isn't something that simply shows up out of nowhere. It's not something you can sit back and hope for. It's something that comes to life when you take that first step. The secret to motivation is not in the waiting, but in the doing. It's about pushing yourself forward, even when you don't feel ready, even when the road seems unclear. Because here's the thing. The more you do, the more momentum you build. The more you start moving, the more energy you'll have to keep going. Waiting will always leave you feeling stuck. It will leave you with that nagging feeling of what if, and maybe someday. But when you take action, when you decide to move forward despite the uncertainty, something incredible happens. You begin to grow. You begin to build the skills, the habits, and the mindset that will carry you forward, even on the hardest days. Action is the doorway to progress. Action is the doorway to progress. There's an old saying, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. It's a simple truth that many of us overlook. We wait until we feel like we're ready, until we feel like we have it all figured out. But the reality is, you will never feel 100% ready. There will always be doubts, there will always be obstacles. That's why it's so important to start, even when you don't have all the answers. That's why it's so important to start, even when you don't have all the answers. Great people do things faster than normal when they complete things, instead of trying to be perfect every time they start. You can't perfect every time. But the reality is, you will never feel like we're ready until we're ready, and never feel perfect until we complete things. It's the best way to really attract what you want. Because once you start, you begin to learn. Once you start, you begin to adapt. And most importantly, once you start, you stop wasting time waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. Mark Twain, ask yourself, what are you waiting for? What is it that's holding you back from taking that first step? It's easy to point to external factors. We say we need more time, more resources, more clarity. But in reality, what's holding you back is fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of not being good enough. But let me tell you something. Fear is normal. It's a part of the process. Every successful person you look up to has been scared at some point, but they didn't let that fear stop them. They kept moving forward. And that's what you need to do too. Fear will always be there, but you can choose to keep going despite it. So what does it look like to stop waiting and start doing? It means taking that first small step, no matter how imperfect it may seem. It means deciding that you are no longer going to sit on the sidelines and hope for things to change. It means making a decision today, right now, to take action. Start by breaking your big goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. Instead of waiting for the perfect time to make a huge leap, make the next right move, no matter how small. Maybe it's sending that email you've been putting off. Maybe it's getting out of bed 15 minutes earlier to work on your passion. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who can help you on your journey. The point is, the action doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be consistent. When you start doing, you also start discovering more about yourself. You learn what works and what doesn't, what you enjoy and what drains you. But most importantly, you begin to realize that you are capable of so much more than you ever imagined. You are stronger than your doubts. You are braver than your fears. But none of that will become clear until you make the choice to act. So today, let go of the illusion that you need more time or more preparation. The truth is, time is now. The moment you've been waiting for is already here. If you keep waiting, you'll miss it. Take action today. Start small, but start now. The moment you start doing, you'll start creating your own motivation, your own momentum. You'll begin to see that the real power doesn't lie in the waiting, it lies in the doing. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for the stars to align. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Because once you make that decision to stop waiting and start doing, you'll find that the motivation you've been waiting for was inside you all along. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to start doing.